Good morning to all. Today we discuss about the topic is F-test. So F-test is also called variance ratio test. So first introduction of this test. What is statistics? Statistics are present in almost every department of every company and are an integral part of investing. That is a branch of applied mathematics that involves the collection, description, analysis, and inference of conclusion from quantitative data. The next, population and sample. A population is the entire set of individuals, objects, or data points. It can be large. For example, all students in a school or all students in a college. A sample is a subset of the population that is selected for analysis and drawn from population. For example, all students in a class. Then population is denoted by capital N and sample is denoted by small n. The next, hypothesis. On the basis of sample data, to make certain assumptions or decisions about population, which are not necessarily true, these hypotheses are tested. These assumptions are known as statistical hypotheses. Some real life examples. A teacher assumes that 50% college students come from rural areas. Then another example, the doctor believes that diet, dose and discipline is 90% effective for diabetic patient. There are two types of hypotheses. First one is the null hypothesis, second one is alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis is assumption that the event will not occur and state that there is no effect or difference. It is denoted by H naught. And alternative hypothesis is opposite to the null hypothesis and it is denoted by H1. The next, procedure for testing of hypothesis. Then first one is formulating the hypothesis. First define null hypothesis or and null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Second one, selecting a significance level. If the level of significance given using that particular value but not given LOS value, we can choose 5%. The next, collecting the analysis of data. If the data is given sample 1, sample 2, etc. The next, calculating the test statistic value. For example, using F-test, so find the test statistics value. The next, determine the table value using degrees of freedom. Then finally, interpreting the result, that is comparing the table value and calculating values. Then finally write the conclusion. Then now, statistical tests used in the hypothetical testing. If the sample size are large means n greater than G30. N greater than 30 means sample is large, here using Z test. If the sample size is small means n less than 30, here using T test, F test. But here discussing F test only. Test the equality of two population variances. Then type 1, test for significance of population variances. Then step 1, general assumptions and rule. A samples are small, that is n less than 30. Test of significance of population variance. Then define null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, H0 and H1. Choose the level of significance. If level of significance is not given, using 5% level of significance. The next formula, S1 square equal to summation x minus x bar whole square by n1 minus 1 and S2 square equal to summation y minus y bar whole square by n2 minus 1 or S1 equal to S1 square equal to n1 S1 square by n1 minus 1, S2 square equal to n1 S2 square by n2 minus 1. In F-test formula, S1 square divided by S2 square or S2 square by S1 square, particularly the numerator value is largest value. If S1 square is largest means using numerator S1 square. S2 square value is large using numerator S2 square. The next problem 1. It is known that the mean diameter of rivers produced by two forms A and B are practically the same, but standard deviation may differ. For 22 rivers produced by A, and the standard deviation is 2.9 meter, while for 16 rivers manufactured by B, the standard deviation is 3.8 meter. Test whether the product A have the same variability as those of B. Here using F test. Step 1. Define the null hypothesis, that is H0 value. Sigma 1 square minus sigma 2 square. That is, there is no significant difference between the population variances. And similarly define H1 value. It is opposite of null hypothesis, sigma 1 square not equal to sigma 2 square. A level of significance is not given, so assume alpha equal to 5%. And formula F test S1 square divided by S2 square or S2 square by S1 square. So initially calculate S1 square and S2 square. Here using the given data, N1 equal to 22, N2 equal to 16. Both data are small sample, and S1 means, that is sample 1 standard deviation 2.9, sample 2 standard deviation 3.8. So calculating S1 square and S2 square. So the given the value S1 square equal to 8.81 and S2 square equal to 15.40. So applying the formula, we get F equal to 15.40 by 8.81 equal to 1.748. And the degrees of freedom is 15, 21 by the table value 2.18. So comparing the test statistics value. So test statistics value 1.7, table value is 1.8. So calculation value is very low comparing the table value. Here H0 is accepted. So H0 is accepted means there is no significant difference between the two population variances. Thank you.